Look, I can already tell what you're thinking. You've probably seen the title of this video and thought to yourself, hey, come on, there's no way that 80% of CSMs fail in their first year. And even if there was, what does that actually mean? Well, before I jump into why so many CSMs are failing in their first year, let's define what failure actually means in this context. I don't think anyone would argue with me when I say that the ultimate goal of any CSM program is to drive customer success. But at the end of the day, we're all working in a B2B environment. And we all have bosses who care about one thing above all else, and that's making money. So if we're talking about failure, we really need to define what it means from both perspectives, the customer and the business. From the customer perspective, a failed CSM engagement is one where the customer doesn't see value in the relationship. And often, this shows itself in the form of churning. If the customer doesn't see value from our relationship, then they'll take their business elsewhere and find a new CSM. From the business perspective, failed CSM engagement is one where you aren't hitting your targets specifically when it comes to upselling. Because at the end of the day, if you can't help customers expand their business with your company, then you're not really helping the business. Now that we've got a definition out of the way, let's talk about those numbers. Because I think it's important to frame this discussion in the context of a high-growth startup. At a high-growth startup, you're likely to see 50 to 70% year-over-year growth, which means that your customer base is also growing very quickly. For a lot of companies, this places an incredible amount of pressure on the customer success team to onboard all these new customers while also upselling existing ones. This is why it's critical for CSMs to understand what separates the top performers from the rest of the pack. So let's dive in. Number 1, proactivity wins. Now this might seem obvious, but trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye. The best CSMs use health scores and other tools proactively to prevent churn before it happens, instead of waiting to hear about it from the customer. They monitor the health score of their accounts and reach out to customers before the health score drops and they start seeing signs of churn. The worst CSMs rely on customers to tell them that they're unhappy. They wait for customers to start asking for discounts or to cancel their contract before taking action. And by that point, it's often too late. The customer has already made up their mind, and there's not much you can do to change it. Now, proactive CSMs don't wait until it's too late to prevent churn. Instead, they monitor the health score of their accounts regularly and reach out to customers before the health score drops. They identify customers who are at risk of churning and then work with them to address their concerns. They ask questions like, are you getting the most out of your investment? Is there anything we can do to help you get more value from our product? By being proactive, CSMs can often turn around customers who might otherwise churn. Number 2, data-driven decisions. Now, the top CSMs leverage data to make decisions, while the rest just kind of wing it. Let me explain. The best CSMs track key metrics like net revenue retention, or NRR, usage trends, and customer satisfaction scores. They use this data to identify customers who might be at risk of churning, or who might be ready to expand their business. Worst CSMs don't track metrics. They go with their gut or rely on anecdotal evidence. Without data to back up their decisions, these CSMs are more likely to make mistakes. They might, for example, focus on customers who are unlikely to churn or expand, or they might miss warning signs that a customer is unhappy. To avoid this, customer success managers should track key metrics like NRR, usage trends, and NPS. They should also use this data to identify customers who might be at risk of churning or who might be ready to expand their business. Number 3, a revenue mindset. Now here's something that might surprise you. 93% of customer success teams own revenue targets, but only 64% of CSMs feel comfortable hitting those targets. That means that a whole bunch of CSMs are just going through the motions without really understanding the impact that they could have. Now, whether you like it or not, CSMs play a critical role in helping companies achieve their revenue goals. In fact, they're often responsible for upselling existing customers on new products or services. But the worst CSMs view upselling as a necessary evil. They see it as something that they have to do, but they don't really want to. This attitude is problematic for 2 reasons. First, it shows that the CSM doesn't really understand the value of their role. And second, it makes it very difficult to build relationships with customers. You're constantly trying to push them to buy more stuff that they don't need. Now, the best CSMs, on the other hand, view upselling as a win-win scenario. They understand that by helping customers get more value from your product, they're also helping the company make more money. This mindset allows them to build stronger relationships with customers, and it also makes it easier to achieve revenue goals. Now, the bottom line is this: CSMs who view upselling as a necessary evil are unlikely to be successful. CSMs who see upselling as a win-win opportunity, however, are setting themselves up for success. Number 4. Burnout prevention. Let's face it, customer success professionals are some of the busiest people in the world. They're constantly juggling multiple accounts, dealing with ever-changing priorities, and putting out fires. But despite all this, CSMs need to perform at a high level every single day. The problem is that this is just not sustainable in the long term. Most CSMs burn out within the first few years of their career, and this is a huge problem for companies. After all, CSMs are responsible for driving customer success, which is critical to the company's growth. But here's the good news. There are steps that CSMs can take to prevent burnout and stay productive. One of the best ways to do this is to automate as many tasks as possible. CSMs spend a lot of time on administrative tasks, such as updating customer profiles and sending emails. Automating these tasks frees up time for more strategic work, which leads to better customer outcomes. Another thing CS professionals can do is to set boundaries. It's important to be responsive to customer needs, but customer success professionals also need to make sure they're available for their team. This means setting aside time for focused work and making sure customers understand that they won't always be available. Finally, CSMs should prioritize strategic work. This means focusing on activities that have the biggest impact on customer success. This includes things like building relationships with key stakeholders and proactively identifying ways to help customers get more value from your product. By following these tips, customer service managers can stay productive and prevent burnout. This allows them to focus on what matters most, driving customer success. Number 5, career advocacy. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, the worst CSMs don't know how to sell. And by sell, I mean sell themselves and their accomplishments. The best CSMs are constantly working to improve their skills and advance their careers. They seek out opportunities to learn from others, and they're not afraid to speak up for themselves. Now, one great way to get ahead is by getting certified. There are a number of different CSM certifications out there, so do your research and find one that's right for you. Another thing CSMs can do is to document their wins. It's important to keep track of the positive feedback they receive from customers. This serves as proof of their impact and can be used to justify salary increases or promotions. It also helps CSMs remember their accomplishments, which boosts morale and motivation. Finally, CSMs should seek out mentors. Having someone to turn to for advice and support is essential for success. Mentors can help CSMs navigate the challenges of their job and provide guidance on how to advance their careers. And following these tips, CSMs have set themselves up for success in their careers. They're able to make a real impact at their company and advance their careers. Well, folks, there you have it. Those are 5 reasons why 80% of CSMs fail in their first year. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.